Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment, when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let me get into this topic here. As y'all know, the Clippers played a pretty big game yesterday against the Phoenix Suns, and they ultimately ended up losing that game. Now, after game one, the most talked about player on the Clippers side was Russell Westbrook, right? And they were discussing Russell Westbrook for some of the things that occurred during that game, right? The fact that I believe he went 3 of 19 from the field, but the fact that he had all of those rebounds. He had the play of the game on Devin Booker when he was able to block his shot and then throw it off his leg to go out of bounds and all of those things, right? So a lot of people were talking about him. And then surprisingly, they were able to unearth some type of video of him kind of having a conversation or altercation, whatever you want to call it, with a fan, I believe in the VIP section of the Phoenix Suns arena. So they were talking about this, talking about that. And one of the people obviously pushing that narrative and ensured that these things were discussed ad nauseum was Skip Bayless, of course, who's Russell Westbrook's biggest fan. So after that game, they came on Undisputed and they started to discuss the game, right? And basically the moderator posed a question to Shannon Sharpe, which was simply, how much credit do you give Russell Westbrook for helping the Clippers to get that first win on the road against the Phoenix Suns? And to my surprise, and I believe to the surprise of Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharpe gave Russell Westbrook his flowers. And all throughout, his monologue, Skip Bayless seemed to be uncomfortable. And he didn't seem to like the fact that Shannon Sharpe was actually standing up for Russell Westbrook. So for those of you who missed what Shannon Sharpe had to say in regards of Russell Westbrook, what we want to do is we want to play his comments for you now. And then we're going to come back and react to what Shannon Sharpe had to say. Take a listen to what Shannon Sharpe had to say on the behalf of Russell Westbrook.
Shannon, was Russell Westbrook the biggest reason the Clippers won last night?
Yes, absolutely. He was the biggest reason. And he's the reason that even though Kawhi was sensational, making big three after clutch mid-range shot after mid-range shot, it was Russ, Skip. Russ had 5 second-half offensive rebounds. He had 1 fewer offensive rebound than the entire Suns team with a 7-footer on the court. Skip, sometimes if you just looked at the box score and you're like, man, Russ was 3 of 19, 1 of 6, 2 or 3 from the free throw line. Man, he was terrible. -6 plus minus. But if you watch the game, you realize and you understand he was the reason. Skip, it was a 1-point game, and the Clippers kept missing shots. And Russ kept getting the offensive rebound, giving them second chance after second chance. And then they would cash it in. Suns come down, get it. Score a bucket, they come right back down. Clippers miss, Russ grabbed the rebound. 2 clutch free throws late in the ball game to put them up 3 with 17 seconds to go in the ball game. Skip it, if you look at it, you're like, man, I mean, the Clippers only had 49 rebounds. The Suns had 42. It's not that bad. But then go a little further to the left. One team had 15 offensive rebounds. The other team had 6. So how many cracks are you going to give a team at your basket before they punish you with points? Or you end up fouling them and put them on the free throw line. Skip, Russ, look, and he has to play like this because Paul George, he took the assignment. That would have been Paul George on Devin Booker. Russ said, no, I got it. And you see, he blocked KD a couple of times from the back. Skip, he played the one thing, Russ don't cheat you. He don't cheat you with effort. You don't ever have to, man, he dogged it on that one, Skip. Russ said, nah. Russ he's not always going to make the best basketball play, but it's not lack of him trying. That performance yesterday will go a long, long way in the Clippers locker room. 3 of 19, that's bad. But you look at the plays that he made down the stretch, and it's the reason why they won the ball game. It's the difference in we let one slip away as opposed to we stole one on the road. But Skip, if you look, okay, Russ in the second half, Skip, he's 1 for 10 from the floor.
Yep.
but he gave you 6 fourth-quarter rebounds.
It's just huge.
He gave you 2 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter, and he gave you 3 assists
And by the way,
and 2 block shots.
can I fault Chris Paul for that? Because mostly he was guarding Russ.
You got to keep him up the
You
glass.
have to screen him off.
Yes.
You know, and I know what he does best. He attacks the glass.
I think he said it humbly, but I think we don't need to be as modest as he was.
Yeah.
He's the best rebounding guard in the history of the game.
He said, I say so humbly. Well, he is.
Yes.
But we've always said
Whether a point or 2,
I said
he's
it
the
on
best.
Friday.
He's the best rebounding guard.
Well,
and so you have to skip. And he's not going to sit like a lot of guards sit back.
And
He's attacking the glass like he's a big. He's going to get it. See ball, go get ball.
So you heard what he had to say there. After that game, funny enough, we actually did a live, right? And that was one of the games that kind of ended early. We did that live around 4 a.m. We didn't do a live yesterday because that live would have started around 6 a.m. in the morning. But of course, you know, you got the clowns in the room. Oh, I didn't see you. Yeah, all right. But anyway, I was happy that Shannon Sharpe said what he had to say, right? If you look at the game last night, Russell Westbrook played much better. Much better in that game because, as I said in game 1, he went 3 of 19 from the field. But if you look at game 2, he shot 56% from the field, going 9 of 16 in that game. He shot 66.7% from the 3, going 2 of 3. He hit all 8 of his free throws, and he finished that game with 28 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks. One was a big one on Kevin Durant. But he finished the game with 3 turnovers. And I can almost predict that the number one discussion point today, in terms of the Clippers losing, is going to be those turnovers he had late in the game. But here's the fact of the matter. Kawhi Leonard also had a big turnover at the end of the game. He also did, right? And I'm not going to put that game on Russell Westbrook. The fact of the matter is he played very well. He played very, very well. He had a very efficient game. Yeah, he missed the dunk. But if you look at his overall impact, he played fantastically well, and he gave Kawhi Leonard some help. And as someone that watched that game from beginning to end, I'm not ready to put all of that on Russell Westbrook. I think the only way you put that on Russell Westbrook is if you're looking for someone to point your anger towards. And you say, well, it's Russell Westbrook's fault. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. They lost that game as a team. Right? I think it was on all of their part. I think it was also on the coaching for not figuring out a way to stop the Phoenix Suns from exploiting them on the drop coverages on those pick and rolls. It's not all on Russell Westbrook. He played a very good game because if you look at his overall performance, he played well. He brought a lot of energy. He brings the Clippers a lot of tenacity, a lot of physicality. I think he's their emotional leader. You saw Kawhi Leonard being a lot more boisterous on the court, especially with the referees basically expressing his displeasure in the way that they were covering the game in terms of fouling, the fouls that they were, in terms of the way they were refereeing the game, excuse me. But to me, I'm not ready to put it all on him. And I like the fact that Shannon Sharpe stood back and he looked at the game from a more nuanced angle. Because if you didn't watch that game and all you did was read the stat sheet, you would have thought that, oh, well, Russell Westbrook is the reason they lost. When in reality, they won that game in spite of him. When in reality, they would not have won that game if Russell Westbrook didn't play. So to me, it was very, very refreshing to see Shannon come to the defense of Russell Westbrook. I think people need to, whenever you're talking about this guy, you need to have a more nuanced approach when you're talking about him. Because I thought he played a really good game yesterday. Yes, he had 2 late turnovers, but hey, he doesn't score all of those points. He's not that efficient, going 100% from the free throw line, shooting 50+% from the field, shooting 66.7% from the 3-point line. Are they even close in that game? I don't believe so. So I'm not going to put it all on him and say, oh, he's the reason we lost. No, I'm not doing that. But these are just my thoughts. So what I want to know from you guys is simply, what do you think about Shannon Sharpe coming to the defense of Russell Westbrook? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show.